Coaching the Atlanta Hawks, welcome back, Quinn Snyder.
Say what you want about Coach Snyder. He was the right fit for the right time for the Utah Jazz to help revive this franchise. And last night, the former Utah Jazz head coach returned to the Delta Center for the first time in almost 2 years. This time as the head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. Snyder led the Jazz to 6 playoff appearances in his 8 seasons in Utah, a time that he remembers fondly.
You just are reminded, what a unique opportunity that I had here with all the people in the Jazz organization, the people in the community, and the impact and, kind of being taken in that respect with my family. Was really grateful for the time I got to spend here.
That embrace with JC, about the only link he has left to the Jazz. All right, now, according to the bracketologists out there for college hoops, the Big 12 Conference, there'll be a 9-bid league come Selection Sunday. BYU, surprisingly, according to the preseason predictions, cemented itself right in the middle of that group in its first year in the Big 12 Conference. Any wins they got at the Big 12 tournament this past week, it only helped strengthen their March Madness resume. And the Cougars began tournament play in Kansas City as the 5th seed in that tournament. They had the first round bye. Then they took on Central Florida in the second round, and the Cougars played great. They had 8 players score 8 or more points in the game, led by Fousseyni Traore's 14 points. He also had 10 rebounds and 3 blocked shots. Didn't hurt that BYU shot 46% from the three-point line as well in that win over UCF, 87-73. So that win put the Cougars into the quarterfinal against 25th-ranked Texas Tech. BYU fell behind big early in this one. The shots weren't falling. They trailed by 19 points at halftime. A late second-half charge got them to within 7, but that still wasn't enough. Jackson Robinson was great off the bench. He led BYU with 18 points, but BYU did lose the game 81-67. Now they wait until tomorrow to find out what seed they'll be given on Sunday.
They just how tough to us. It's something that I take really personally. And
we're going to come together, we're going to fix some things, and, it's not going to happen again. We're not going to come out this low, and we're going to really come out and fight, and, we're going to show everybody who we really are.
I'm very confident. We're going to take a lot of stuff from this game and just critique it. And we're going to be us at the NCAA tournament, and we're going to shock a lot of people. So.
Well, the Runnin' Utes, they were in an urgent situation in Las Vegas at the Pac-12 championships. With back-to-back losses to close out the regular season, Utah would need at least 2 wins to stay on the NCAA tournament bubble. On Wednesday night in the first round, the 6th-seeded Utes jumped all over Arizona State. They won by 33, 90-57, and Davon Smith was outstanding. 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists in the win. They would have to repeat that magic Thursday night, though, against Colorado, another bubble team also feeling the urgency to win. Utah was not able to answer that call, though. They shot just 26% from the three-point line, and they were dominated on the glass, out-rebounded by 10. NCAA tournament hopes are now squashed for the Utes, but the possibility of continuing the season in the NIT, that is still alive.
This team has been through so much, and for it to just be done would suck.
I play because I love the sport, and I want to play as long as I can. And so, whatever it is, you want to get, you play for the games.
At the end of the day, not being able to play in the NCAA tournament is hard. And I didn't even bring up, being able to play more basketball. And so happy to hear that, quite frankly. Does it help us? Of course it does.
We continue our Locals in the NFL Draft previews with Stevenson Sylvester. This week, we take a deep dive on Utah defensive end Jonah Ellis, one of the best pass rushers in the country, Sly. You saw him up close and personal. You saw his technique. You saw everything he did. Let's take a look at him. You look at his size, maybe a little undersized, Sly. Does he have the size that it's going to take to be able to make that transition to the NFL and be just as effective?
Oh, yeah. What's the point of the game, right? Get to the ball. And this guy gets to the ball every single time. 6'2", 247, 33-inch arms. He does a great job with usage of his hands, extending the O-lineman. He's a great all-around player. He's got great people to learn from. Older brother, dad. He has great Sunday night dinners talking about pass rush moves. And so I think he just gets it done at the end of the day. Of course, as you said, sideline, being able to watch this guy up close, he just doesn't stop running. Even when he's tired, he's breathing heavy. You can see him on the next play. So he's got a great motor behind him, but he gets to the ball, and that's all you ask for from that position.
As far as size, you've seen pass rushers that aren't 260 pounds. Look at this list right here. These are guys maybe he compares to?
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I mean, when I came out into the draft, I was 6'2", 6'3", 231. They're like, oh, he's light. And the coaches from the Steelers were like, he'll put on weight. I mean, he was in college. He didn't eat much. So it's the same thing. Jonah Ellis is 247 right now. He could put on 8 pounds before training camp like it's nothing. And he'll be 255 and nobody will ask any questions. Sometimes these guys need to be a little lighter, right? That's just where their comfortability is.
Speed matters too, right?
Speed matters. And with technique, all of the things that people bash on smaller defenders about, you can get better with technique. I've seen Troy Polamalu, all of 210, 212 pounds, lift up 340-pound O-lineman just based off of great technique. So he can get done and get better, but all of these guys all play those positions coming out and are around that size.
What type of scheme in the NFL is the best fit for him?
What I love about Jonah Ellis is he's versatile. He can do the D in position where he's putting his hand in the dirt, or he can stand up and be a 3-4 D in. He can do it all. I absolutely love his versatility. Or be like our guy Koamisi, right? Koamisi played all defensive end at the University of Utah. But when he went to the Miami Dolphins, he was playing middle linebacker. He has that versatility. He can do that. His older brother is playing middle linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons. He could play D-end, but I see him as a 3-4 defensive end in some of these schemes because of the way that 3-4 uses their outside linebackers. They can drop in coverage. They can stand over the middle of the center. They can be all over the field. That's where Jonah Ellis lies. He can play on both sides of the line of scrimmage, from the right side to the left side. He can play on both. And so I love his versatility, and I know a team is going to love to see that.
All right, let's dig into the tape. Obviously, he gets after the quarterback.
Yes, with ease. I mean, he only played 9 games this year and had 12 sacks. Multiple sack games, but he is just all over the field. As I said, his motor is his best intangible. He doesn't stop running. So that's great for a defensive end because that initial block, a lineman will think he'll have you, but you get the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens that want to hold the ball. If you got a great motor, you're going to get to him and you're going to pad those stats.
What does he need to work on at the NFL level?
It's technique, because everybody is the technique. He's young, so he's got to work on that. When you get to the NFL, I mean, I played against guys like Bryant McKinney, 6'8", 6'9", 400 pounds. Mount McKinney is what they called him. And but there's guys like that in the NFL. But his athleticism, he will definitely understand that. And so here against Oregon State, he was able to play against a first-round draft pick here. And so this guy is going to be a first-round draft pick in NFL draft this year. And but here's his quickness. Right? He uses hands. They say he has the best spin move in the draft. That is a big intangible here in the draft that you want to utilize. But in the run play, see with the defensive end, you want to stay on this line and this plane. Here he gets pushed out onto the top of those logo. That's what you don't want to do because you widen that B gap. So you want to keep things tight.
And the running back's got 15, 20 yards.
Right. And sometimes when you're a smaller defender, you want to just get around guys, but those big guys are able to push you and you make that gap bigger. So he's got to get that. And that's with technique. If we know, Jonah Ellis has gotten better every single year that he's been able to play. So in 2021, he's got 11 pressures and 2 sacks. Last year, he had 25 and 4 sacks. And this year, he had 13 sacks in just 9 games. He's getting better every single year. He's a quick learner, very coachable. As I said, from Luther Ellis, he's got a great pedigree. And so he's got a lot of things to learn from. But I think as an NFL team, you would look at his upside. What can I project seeing this guy in 2 to 3 years? Is he going to be a dominant player in this league? And I would say yes.
All right, so you're the GM. What round are you taking him in, and where do you think would be a great fit for him?
Man, so you have to invest in the future. right?
Yeah.
As we said, where is he going to project here in the next 2 to 3 years? This first round, he doesn't have to be your number one starter coming out of the draft this first year, but he's got to be a supplemental complement to your team, right? Special teams, defense, sub downs on third downs, and I got to invest in the future. This guy, I will take him in the late second round. I'll take him in the late second round. I say a team like, I don't even know. Because he's so versatile. He can play the 4-3 or 3-4. He would be all over the place.
So there's a lot of good fits for him.
There's a lot of good fits. I can't solely say that one team is going to benefit it.
One coach, yeah, absolutely.
But I like the 3-4 scheme, so whoever has that 3-4 scheme. But honestly, if he can go to Philadelphia and be a part of that terrorizing defense, so they can revitalize when they made their Super Bowl run, which their offense is now stacked. Now they got to get back to that dominant 70-plus sack season team.
Yeah.
But Miami loves Utah. Well suited wherever he goes. Very, very strong upside.
Well, look, his dad, Luther Ellis, is a Lions legend, a great NFL player. Caden right now is killing it with the Falcons. He's got 2 other brothers in the NFL. He's about to join him. Pretty cool for Jonah Ellis. It's great to see him do well. I like it. That second or third round. He's definitely a second-day guy, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. If he drifts, a team is getting a steal in the draft. That's for sure.
Look for Jonah to go in the second or third round. Thanks, Sly.
Cannot wait for the draft. Well, we've got stoppage time goals and Isaiah Thomas continuing his hot streak for the Stars. They may have landed him a new job, too. That's coming up next. KSL makes its return to Utah tonight. The Utah Royals home opener in America First Field is just underway against the Chicago Red Stars. It's all square at 0 at halftime. We'll have full coverage of that game coming your way tonight at 10. Now, also today in the NWSL, the Portland Thorns were in a thriller against Kansas City. Current Thorns player Janine Becky with an absolute rocket against the Current. It's Becky's first game back from an ACL injury, too, and look at it. Look at her rip that one into the net. The score was a beauty, but it wasn't enough quite to get the victory. They lost by 1, 5-4. In the MLS, the Chicago Fire FC were taking on Montreal Impact. In extra time, Carlos Terron finds Hugo Cypers, ties the game up. It's tied at 3, and then Kellen Acosta, right foot shot from 35 yards. Got it. An insane shot. Chicago Fire wins its first game of the season, 4-3. The SLC Stars were taking on the Grand Rapids Gold earlier today in the second quarter. Kenneth Lofton Jr. with the steal. I knew a Kenny Lofton that once got a lot of steals. Unrelated, though, goes coast to coast for the finish. 28 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 assists for him. Isaiah Thomas continues cooking with the Stars. He had his 4th straight 30-point game since joining the Stars. Then hours after the game, reports out that Thomas is expected to sign a 10-day contract with the Suns. We'll monitor that. Well, when we come back, a storybook ending for one Red Rocks senior. You'll want to see this next. Playing the second night of back-to-back tonight at Delta Center. They're hosting the Timberwolves. John Collins, he's out of the lineup for the Jazz, though. And the Timberwolves just announced that Rudy Gobert, he'll be out as well. So no return for Rudy tonight at Delta Center. The Cavs and Rockets were in action earlier today, though. Houston starting off with authority. Jabari Smith, the hammer. Then in the third quarter, Fred VanVleet to Jalen Green. Deep 3, bottom of the net. Later in the third, Rockets up 24. How about another steal here? Jeff Green dropping off the dime to Jack Landale. Right there. Well, eventually. There it is. Rockets get the win. They're up on Jazz second half games, 2.5 games in the standings. All right, Friday night, the Red Rocks held the final home meet of the season and honored the outgoing seniors for the team. One of the seniors leaving the Red Rocks is Abby Paulson, one of the most consistent Red Rocks this year with 2 near-perfect 10s on the beam. She gets the storybook ending on Friday night, though. A 10 on beam on senior night for Abby Paulson. Then on floor, Jaden Rucker's last performance in front of the home crowd gets a 9.925. And 50-year senior Miley O'Keefe ends her historic Red Rocks career with a 9.925 in front of a packed Huntsman crowd. Next up for the Red Rocks, the Pac-12 Championships next week. And remember to download the KSL Sports app. You can follow along all of our NCAA tournament coverage there. KSL Sports will beat the Cougars and Aggies wherever they go.